All right, welcome to the next video. Just in case you haven't, I am going to create the bear component under this parent component of 2D CAD packet. So make sure that this is activated. And now we're going to go up to create new component. I am going to call that bear because that is, that's what our drawing is called. So, as you can see, there's a few different dimensions in this drawing. It's not quite complicated yet. Some of the drawings that we'll get to down below get a little bit more in depth. However, this does give us some reference points and things to think about. So, let's go back over here. Create a sketch. Make sure that the bear component is active. Create a sketch. I'm already in top view, so I'm going to click and say, yep, this is where I want to draw. Okay. So with this one, I'm going to use my rectangle tool. And then I'm going to come over here, and it wants a rectangle that is 3.75 high and 4 long. So this gives another great glimpse into some of the functionality in Fusion. So if I want it to be 4 long, I'm going to enter 4. Now, I'm going to use Tab on my keyboard to hop over to the other dimension. So if I want to go between the two, I can just hit Tab, and it jumps between the two dimensions there. Okay? So now I know 3.75 in that plane. Okay, so to create the rest, we're going to use the trim tool a little bit, we're going to use the chamfer tool, and finally, we're going to use the circle tool. And for the circle tool, we're going to learn something really important, which is using construction lines to reference from. So construction lines are kind of like real lines, but they're not really part of our actual model or drawing. So say we wanted to create a 3D model that we were later going to print, construction lines wouldn't be part of that. They wouldn't be part of any extrusion, which is what it's called when you actually push or pull a model to create something 3D. And I'm going to show you that at the end of this short video. So we have this made. Next, I know that at 1.25, I'm going to create a line that goes in by 2. So this is where we're going to first see a construction line. So I'm going to grab my line tool, and then over here you have this sketch palette. Sometimes this might be hidden if you have minimized it, in which case you can maximize it and see it again. So on the same lower axis, I'm going to go up by, snap into the up direction, by 1.25. 1.25. There we go. Okay. So now I have that. And then here, I still have construction enabled. See how it's still highlighted? I know that I need to go in by 2. There we go. I'm going to drag this dimension out of the way. So see how these construction lines are kind of light brown or orangish and dotted? And my actual sketch lines are either blue or black, depending on if they're constrained or not. And we'll talk about constraints later. So for my line, I am going to hover over. I haven't clicked anything yet. I'm going to hover over this, come in until I meet, and see how I have this X, and I'm still on that dotted line. I still haven't clicked anything yet. I've just been hovering. So now I'm going to start my line. I'm going to come up here, hover, come down until it snaps into that 90 degree position. Boom. And see, over on the other side where I started, we have this little right angle that we can see. So I'm going to click to set that line down. And then I'm going to come up. And that distance is 1.25. 1.25. I hit enter and it stopped the command. So I need to come up here, grab my line tool again, come over here, and finalize it by meeting that final line. Okay, so this is actually a great demonstration of when you forget to turn construction off, because these lines I actually want to be part of my drawing. So all I did here was come over and I went a little bit further than this chamfer would be, and I went up, up, and over, because we're going to do this part where it makes this angle later. So to turn these back into regular lines, I'm just going to click on them. If I want to select multiple at once, I'm going to hold down Control on my keyboard, and then I'm going to toggle construction off, and it made them lines. They're no longer dotted. They are either blue or black. So I want this little portion from here to here to be gone, because that's not existent in this drawing. So I can use trim. I'm going to actually hit T on my keyboard to shortcut to it. Let's get used to using shortcuts. The more we use that, the faster we get. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to press escape because I am done trimming for now. It's time to chamfer, which we learned in the previous video. So chamfer, equal distance. Now let's do this the quick way. So 0.5. I haven't hit enter or anything yet. I'm just going to come around and do that to all of my edges. So select the lines involved. And finally, I've chamfered all of those, so I'm going to hit enter. Cool. However, we still have two more to chamfer. 0.25. Okay? So I'm going to go modify, chamfer. Boom. 0.25. And if I don't hit anything yet, and finally hit enter now, it will do that for me. So that was really fast in terms of chamfering all of these edges. Last thing to do, and then we're done with this model, is make this little circle right here. So it's a radius of 0.25. Now, what do we know about Fusion? We know that for circles, it likes to default to diameter. So a radius of 0.25 is halfway across a circle, which means a diameter of 0.5. Multiply by 2. However, it is 1 over and 1.88 up from this edge right here. Construction lines will be our friend in this case. So make sure that construction is highlighted over here. I'm going to start at the origin because that's where we started our drawing. I'm going to come down a little bit. Then I'm going to go over 1. Oop. See how it went at that angle? Make sure that it's flat. And then escape to get out of that. Line tool again, or keyboard shortcut L. And then I'm going to come up 1.88. Voila. Cool. So I have these construction lines, which I can reference from to make this circle. So watch how I do this. I'm going to grab the circle tool, and I'm going to hover over this point. So when I come out here, see how it draws this dotted line? I'm going to kind of ignore that dotted line for now because it will come back. It knows that I referenced from that previous point. I am going to come down here, hover, and then come up, and then watch how it snaps in as I meet that other point. Boom, right there. Click to start your circle, and see how it's drawing that dotted line right now? Because I was in construction mode. I'm going to come over here. I'm not clicking anything. And sure, the circle got huge. But I'm going to turn off construction. And then I'm going to come back in here. The center, I've already set the center. The center is where I want it to be. So I'm going to make sure that I know the dimension of it, radius of 0.25, which is the diameter of 0.5. I'll set it down, and I'm done. So I said at the end of this video, I would show how to extrude something or how to make it ready for 3D printing. So say that this is a little part that I made and I want to 3D print it, or I want to take it to one of our other tools, like a CNC machine. We will get into tool paths much later this year in terms of CNCing. However, for right now, if I wanted to 3D print this, all I have to do is extrude it to the amount that I want. So for that, I can go Finish Sketch, and I can either use this extrude icon up here, or see how it said when I hovered over it, extrude in parentheses is keyboard shortcut E. So I'm going to use keyboard shortcut E, and then I'm going to hover over this, and depending on what you select, it might do it differently. So I want a hole to be there, and I want to pull up on this. So I'm going to pull up on it by clicking, holding down, and dragging to make sure it's going in the right direction. See how if I go two different ways, it goes in two different ways? So if I go up, say I want it to be 1/2 inch tall, I'm going to hit enter. We have a little 3D model. So this could be a useful tool as a wrench if you wanted to make a custom wrench for something. We have the head of the wrench. We could draw the body of the wrench or the handle of the wrench down here. Also extrude that, and then we would have one solid object that we could 3D print. So you will also see under this drop down, under bodies, I have body 1. If I wanted to rename that as wrench head, I could do that. And if I didn't want to see it anymore, and I just wanted to see my sketch, I could turn that off and make sure that my sketch was turned on. So use these little eyes over here to turn things on and off as you need. Okay, so that goes over a lot of different things. Drawing construction lines, chamfering, entering dimensions, extruding, and toggling on and off what you want to see and what you don't want to see. Okay, so I'm going to make one more video in this series for your reference if you need help before you work on your own. And that will deal with a couple other helpful points. So make sure that you have this and move on to the next video.